full of kids. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, we're back for another Friday 15. I'm Jeff Jordan from Spencer Stewart.
I'm Paul Mastrangelo from First Domino Consulting.
And we are here to give you 15 minutes of workday chatter. This week, I wanted to pick up, we were talking last week about personality. What? Personality. So,
What?
personality.
Talk?
Personality. So, we're going to talk about personality a little bit more. What we were talking about specifically applying personality into change last week, but it did kind of open the door about personality being applied more broadly in organizational work, right? When we use it for development, we use it in selection, it gets used in training. And I would just sort of, is it getting used right? Is it being used too much? Where does it fit in? Where does it not fit in? So I thought it might be worth just sort of talking about our experiences in its good application and its not so good applications. I would just say very generally, I think on the good side, with good measures of personality. So there are, and I'm not going to get into a review of good personality measures or bad personality measures. I think
You
some
know who
are
you are.
exactly. Some are better than others, but I do think that they can be very helpful in providing a foundation for insight. So, as we talk about development and coaching or team dynamics, it's been really useful just to have it as a level playing field. It gives you a language to talk about. Like, I am extroverted, or I'm more introverted, I'm a little bit more uh, open, I tend to be more this way or that way. It helps with level setting and being able to talk about why you might do what you do in a way that you may not otherwise feel comfortable talking about or have the right vocabulary to talk about it or just permission to talk about it. So it opens up those things, whether it's one on one with a coach or just in your own self awareness, and certainly with team dynamics.
Yeah, I think you and I have both had some positive experiences working with leaders. And as you said, well put, the idea of, I may not have had the words to express who I am or why I act this way in certain situations or why I react to you or a group when we have a meeting and we're immediately jumping off and people are jumping around and saying multiple things. And it's very quick and I am trying to absorb all that and I don't feel it's right for me to speak up yet. Someone else is going to say, well, that's definitely what I want to do is I want to speak up. I feel that is my contribution is trying to verbalize what I'm hearing and then test it with others. And that's sort of an easier, maybe the easiest of the big five personality domains to talk about and express it. But so I agree with you. The ability to say, well, I hadn't thought about that. And do I want to develop that opposite muscle, whatever it is? And when do we do that? What's the right scenario, the right situation to do that? I will say, again, without naming names, to me, if you're able to throw out letters, if you're able to say, I am not that, but I am this in a dichotomous, forced choice kind of way, I'm thinking that might be overly simplistic and potentially you might want to look at a different measure. And I say that just earnestly, like, why not? Why not try something that's more on a continuous scale with a different way, a different language, and test that out? And again, I've had a recent experience where that was very helpful for a group of leaders. They knew about the DISC, they knew about the Myers-Briggs, but they didn't know about the big five. And it was extremely helpful, more helpful than what they thought it was going to be. And that's coming from them. You said there is a pro and con. So obviously, you can. I think we both agree. One of the negatives is when you start talking about personality, you end up using a lot of the popularized, almost horoscope like definitions that I think both of us would rail against. And to a certain extent, we have to deal with it because that's what our audience thinks we're talking about. Oh, you mean this? I'm like, well, yeah, I understand that there's a feeling versus thinking in this measure. Let's think about that under different terms, right? And let's use some different language around that, and away we go. So I think that's part of this. There's another big negative that I want to run by you and get your thoughts on, and that's this idea that we almost force it or cram it. So I've seen this in when people talk about um, styles of learning.
Yeah. Hmm.
A lot of the research is saying there's really not a consistent learning style. There are different avenues, like I can be visual, I can be hands-on, I can be more verbal, sure, but the research is saying everyone would benefit from being exposed to different ways of learning, not, hey Jeff, you're this type of person, so I have to give it to you this way. Have you seen some of those same kind of horoscope like thinking?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that there's a risk of any of this is these idea of absolutes that I'm this way and not that way. We see it obviously. The styles of learning is one. Oh, I'm I'm a classroom learner. I'm not. It's like, oh, you never learn from a book. Of course you will. Like everyone is on some kind of continuum. There's always some benefit of mixed methods, and so the idea that everything is somehow absolute, that someone who is open is never going to ever be rigid. That's just not the case. And and we see it also with these and you're my favorite, generational personalities, right? That everyone in this generation is this way, and everyone in this generation is that way, which is obviously just ridiculous. But it just paints these really broad brushes because it's convenient. It doesn't really get tied to anything practical, but
Yeah.
it just makes it easier to talk about. And as a result, you end up really with lack of validity because you're not really getting into the nuances. You're not really accounting for situational differences. You're not really accounting for the fact that people can be flexible or can adjust to different situations. And so, yeah, that is sort of the negative of looking at personality with a rigid lens, is to think that, oh, because someone comes in and this is their personality mix, that this is exactly how they're always going to be, and that's not the case. When we look at what we call our preference of styles, or our preferences, um, we also acknowledge that those shift in different situations because people are adaptive. That's part of what makes us human, and it would be bad to assume that people are always going to be the same in every single situation.
Yeah.
Maybe a rare few are, but for the most of us, we realize that we have to shift with who where we are. We're
Jeff,
not going to have the world around us.
Jeff, you sound like an introverted boomer whose color is yellow. Can't deal with you.
Don't you call me boomer? Anyway,
No,
uh,
you're right. I think
introverted. No,
I introverted boomer. I don't know. I don't know anything about those color tests. I just saw you as a yellow. I don't know why.
I know that.
I don't. Yeah, I've got nothing there. But you're right. We end up stereotyping, and it's funny. You and I both agreed that we liked personality assessments as a way to open up and articulate and to share and to learn each other's perspectives. But you're right. It's almost like maybe as a culture, and that of course extends into our workplace, we want to put people into buckets. And so now, ironically, I'm not seeing you. I'm seeing a,
Label.
you're this generation, you're this type of learner, you're this type of person, which is the exact opposite of what any facilitator would want to do, working with a group and trying to improve teamwork and good collaboration. So I don't know who the we is, we people, we who are in this society with pop psychology terms. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's difficult. So as you said, to me, that's part of the baggage that comes along when we talk about psychosocial measures. It's always going to be seen a little bit differently and then simplified, oversimplified. Perhaps, I don't know. Do you think it does more harm than good? I mean, that's at some point.
Well, so here's the litmus test. So based on what we think as being good versus being bad, maybe the litmus test is it helping you see the whole person as a person,
Yeah.
and it's more like the interaction that you're going to have and understand how you can interact with that person, or is it just helping you slap a label on someone and putting them in a box? And if it's just having you put them in a box, then it's probably not being used the right way. If it's really helping you start a conversation and be more dynamic and really seeing the whole person and understanding, like, oh, I tend to do this, you tend to do that. This is where we might have some conflict sometimes. How can we be mindful of that? How are we going to work together around that? That's great. That's a wonderful thing. If it's you're this way, I'm this way, stay out of my way, I'll stay out of your way, that's not going to be a good use of the situation.
But doesn't that sound like the worst advice you could ever give, like for couples therapy? By all means, you should label someone right away. Give them a label and immediately make them feel defensive about it. Oh, that is just so you. You're such a Gemini. Oh, wow. Whew.
Yeah, exactly. You're such a Leo there, Paul.
I don't
Yeah, no, yeah.
I don't know if you're a Gemini. I
I'm a
don't even know.
Cancer. I'm
you're
Cancer.
you're a Cancer or a moon child.
I am a Moonchild. How do you not know who? How do you not know who I am? This is very sad. Do you not
I
know me? You do
dissociate.
not know me.
I dissociate when I'm with you. Yeah, that's what keeps our relationship strong.
But so I do think that that's the biggest risk is when we start this. It goes into that stereotyping
Yeah.
world, right? And that is the danger. And it's the labels, and it's you're this type, you're that type. I and that's where I and that's why I don't like it when, as I said, I think it can be useful in a selection way when it helps us understand where, like with Hogan, there are ways of understanding what kind of derailers someone might bring in as a leader. I think that's important to understand if you're going to bring that person into a certain environment. Um, but if I'm going to say, oh, I'm using it because we're this type of culture and this is going to be a fit, I think that's a huge red flag. It, all kinds of people make up your environment, make up a culture. It's not just everyone is one kind of personality makes this culture. And so I really worry that when people think about personality measures to fit a culture, that is again stereotyping one to the other.
Well, I'll push back a little there, and we're running out of time, and I don't know what the right combo is, but to me, I could see having almost a recipe. Like if we're on an innovation team, I want a lot of people who are really high on openness, because they're going to play with things and experiment. But at the same token, we do need to get some stuff done. And so we probably need a certain percentage of folks who are going to be listening and taking notes and going, we said that 20 minutes ago, right? Oh, did we? Yeah, we did, right? So I mean, having a balance, But I don't mean 50-50 balance. I mean, for a purpose, we might lean one way, but not go too far. And from an organization standpoint, I think the same thing might apply. And again, every organization is different, size of the organization, functions. I wouldn't want to have a super introverted sales team that probably ain't going to fly too good. But at the same time, having a mix that fits, the right amount, that Goldilocks zone, probably chips a little bit by purpose. I've never seen anyone talk about blending a team or blending an organization by design to find the right Goldilocks zone. That I would love to see that be tested out.
Well, aspirations for another time. Uh, as your yellow Gen
Boomer.
Xer cancer, I will just kind of say, like, I'm feeling, my need to withdraw and, you know, harmonize with my inner self at this
You know,
point.
you said harmonize. All I could think of was, do you remember when Donnie and Marie Osmond had their television show? This, by the way, dates us and makes us seem like boomers. Um, I'm a little bit country and I'm a little bit rock and roll. Um,
Yes,
I, I felt that that was sort of where we were hedging on when we were talking about these stereotypes of I'm either this or that. So I really expected you to go into that and you didn't. You let me down.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that I'm Marie Osmond? I'm.
I don't know which is the more insulting Osmond to label one.